Hi, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Dread Central Cinema Club. This is where people from the Dread Central ecosystem get together and talk about a new movie in the horror sphere. Today, we are joined by Emily Gagne. Hi, Emily, you are our newsletter editor. Am I right about that?
Yes, that rolls off the tongue in a weird way.
Kind of did.
It does. But yeah, I do the Harbinger. You maybe subscribe to it if you're listening to this. And if you don't, please subscribe.
I think that you should subscribe because it's amazing content. It comes out on Tuesdays, same day as Development Hell, one of the best podcasts on this network. So today for the Dread Central Cinema Club, we are talking about a pretty unique horror movie. We are getting into All About Evil. All About Evil, 2010 horror movie by Peaches Christ, aka Joshua Granell. So All About Evil. Had you seen this before, Emily?
I had not seen this before, and I don't know if I'd actually heard of it, which shocks me because I know it played a horror festival that is in our hometown of Toronto After Dark. I looked into it. I was like, this feels like a Toronto After Dark pick. Of course it was. But yeah, I'd never seen it. And I was obviously taken by the name of it to begin with, which is like sort of like a play off of All About Eve.
Yeah.
Which is an iconic film.
And an iconic pun, really. What a great title for this movie.
There's so many puns in this movie, really.
So many puns. I did know that this movie existed. I was aware of it. It's kind of like an urban legend that Peaches Christ has the movie. And now it's being put out again by Severin Films on Blu-ray. Very exciting. Have to buy a copy. And I didn't realize it's actually from 2010. Pretty recent.
Yeah. Yeah. And like Peaches has sort of a legacy of like being a sort of midnight movie host, right?
Yes, definitely. I can't give you the exact years, but she hosts like a midnight movie screening series in San Francisco called Midnight Mass. And I remember that because that's the name of her podcast that she co-hosts right now. So that's how I get that done. But yeah, she's like a drag queen, but also a horror icon. Like this person is like all up in horror. She has some incredible horror outfits. There's a Pinhead one that comes to mind or a Hellraiser one. Can you picture that in your mind's eye?
Yeah, incredible.
It's so gross. Like the boobs are like skinned. It's really scary actually. So yeah, Peaches Christ, horror icon, made this horror movie. And I'm so excited that it's gonna get this wider release.
Yeah, I think it deserves the release. And I even saw that it's going to get screened in some places, like I think in LA it'll screen. But this one you could watch at home. I really think it would be like a great one to watch with like friends at home with like a couple drinks on a Friday. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, edibles, maybe. I don't know. You have to decide how you're going to do this.
Party as you want to party. But this is, I would say, this is a party movie. This is a
party movie. And I would say the cast is a party of pretty exciting figures. I'm going to start it off with star Natasha Lyonne.
My gosh.
What an amazing performance.
She's always incredible, but she's really bringing it here. And she's layered. Like she starts off, you know, as sort of a meek character. She's like a librarian, and then she becomes this sort of like villainess, you know.
Oh my God, what a villainess. You know what kind of reminds me of? Was it Office Killer? Is that what I'm thinking?
Love that movie.
Was that Carol Kane?
Yeah.
It's kind of a similar vibe. Also an amazing movie. We should talk about that one day.
Yeah.
Emily, what would you say All About Evil is about?
So I think at the core of it, thematically, it is about saving small rep cinemas. And the way that it tells that story is through this woman who like inherits a rep cinema called the Victoria Theater, I believe. And she's played by Natasha Lyonne. And basically by accident she finds out that making snuff films for this theater is what's going to make it succeed. So she like kills somebody on a security camera, it gets broadcast in the theater, and then everybody loves it, and she continues to make these like small videos or short films really that are her killing people in disgusting ways, and people that are like sort of stopping her from succeeding, basically.
I was thinking kind of gives me found footage vibes, right?
Yeah.
I was like, is this pre-found footage? But 2010, no, I think that's around the height of found footage. Interesting.
There's found footage. There's like camp Jean Mauders kind of vibe. Like there's a lot of different things and a lot of different homages, I feel like, going on in this movie.
Let's talk about some of our favorite characters from this movie because there's so many of them. Do you want to start us off? Is there anyone that comes to mind for you?
Well, the big news, and this is Pride Month, so it's important to note this, is that Elvira, Mistress of the Dark herself, Cassandra Peterson, is in this film. She plays kind of like a more normal, a normie kind of. She's like a mom. She's got her like traditional sort of red hair in it. And she's a mom to this teen boy who's obsessed with the films at the cinema. And it's kind of like tongue in cheek in that, like, in this boy's room, there's like an Elvira poster. I don't know if you noticed in the like.
Of course, I noticed.
Which is like.
It's a little weird. We'll get into it a little more later, but I think Stephen was in love with his mom, and it's not just because of the Elvira poster. Cassandra Peterson has like a real role in this. This is not a cameo, which is so fun to see.
Yeah.
Like, she's an emotional role. She's the mom of the protagonist, but like she's given a lot to do, and I was surprised.
And it's kind of just a different part for her, you know. She's not tapping into that exact Elvira vibe. She is playing a mom that's like, there is some like actual heaviness to this movie a little bit, and that there's like, you know, she's kind of concerned about her younger son, and like, is he being influenced by this like violent content that he's seeing, and like, is he going to do something violent himself? Like, she's kind of worried about that, really.
Yeah, and she's pulling it off. She's like pulling off naturalism. I love you, I'm your mom. And it's just cool to see that she's a good actor. You know, we don't think of her as a good actor, but she's such a good actor.
I wish she was in more stuff, like not just as Elvira. I mean, I want to see her as Elvira forever because she's so iconic as Elvira, but like, I think we forget about Cassandra, you know?
Oh, we totally do. It's interesting. She's playing Cassandra, or at least not Elvira, in the Munsters movie. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, maybe there's a resurgence coming for her with this re-release with the Munsters. Like, I just, let's see her in more stuff. Let's see her like a Barbara Crampton or like even a Lynn Shay. Like, let's see her in something. I'm love
sorry. There is only one Lynn Shay.
I'm sorry.
Oof. Okay. Speaking of beautiful people, Thomas Dekker as our protagonist, Stephen. I was thinking coming into this, you know, my only engagement with this guy, I think, was the Nightmare on Elm Street reboot. So I didn't really know much else of him. And I like kind of loved him in this.
He's a cutie. I'm pretty sure he was in a Greg Araki movie called Kaboom, which came out a couple years ago. He made Mysterious Skin and
I don't know Kaboom.
Total famous queer director. So I feel like Thomas, I don't think he's been in anything that recently. I feel like he might have been in like a Terminator, something bigger. Like, he kind of was flirting with, I think, like big mainstream success, but hasn't quite hit there. And I think he's really well served as this kind of like weird boy character.
Yeah.
They throw around a lot of references to like Catcher in the Rye and stuff, and then he's kind of this like outcast boy, and that's the role. But he's a little bit like cuter than the normal outcast boy, and he's got a little something extra that like you can't resist, you know.
I agree. There's like an X factor there. I also like a kind of femme straight guy, because like that's okay. We can have that. That's allowed.
He was very straight, he kept saying. Like,
they were. Yes, we had to know that this guy was straight. Well, it's actually very good that they told me, because I wasn't sure.
Yeah. But I
mean, told, and I needed to be reminded.
Well, and it's like this is a very queer movie. Like, I would say, like, even though Natasha Lyonne, famous, not gay, she like, she is a queer icon, even though she's not actually queer, right? Like, Elvira, obviously a queer icon before she even came out as queer. Like, this movie is very queer. So they had to spell it out for us and say, look, he's like flirting with this one girl, repeatedly drawing weird pictures of her, you know, like
the romantic like murder pictures. No wonder they think that you're gonna kill everybody.
I know.
Don't draw murder pictures in class. Wait till you go home.
Yeah. Yeah, just in your room with your poster of your mom on the wall.
Okay. So now we're getting into some of the henchmen. There's like a bunch of people that help Deborah Tennis kill people, and Deborah is played by Natasha Lyonne. I think my favorite henchman is Adrian. He's like the psychopath that they just find on the street, and he's like beating an old woman to death, broad daylight. Like everybody's just like walking by, and they're like, here's a crazy person to help us kill people. It was beautiful.
Yeah, he is the guy that plays him. Noah Sagan is like, he was in Knives Out. He's in like he's always like a bit player, like a character actor.
Yeah.
And I was like pleasantly surprised by his performance and how like deranged, I'm gonna say it is.
Yeah.
Like he's
Very
like
crazy.
eating fingers. Like what was that part when she's like
Oh yeah.
fingers.
He was like eating in front of Deborah, and Deborah was like, how dare you be disgusting in front of me? I'm Deborah.
I know.
Oh
Deborah, just iconic character.
So iconic. I think we got to stay with her for a little bit. So her origin story is very interesting. Like the reason why Deborah is so willy-nilly into Killy is very interesting to me. Will you help us understand why? Like what happened to her as a baby?
Well, there's like an opening scene that is wow. This theater, her father is like doing a screening of Wizard of Oz, and it's like really important that she does an intro for this screening. And she goes up there and she's nervous to the intro. I relate, I understand it. She's dressed up as Dorothy, the whole thing. And her mom is dressed as the Wicked Witch, like very social. And her mom is evil, by the way, and she's the first kill of the movie. So Deborah's up there on stage and she's like doing this little number, and she pees herself. It happens to the best of us, but what doesn't happen to the best of us is the pee electrocutes her because it hits the wire on the ground. She gets electrocuted. It's very dramatic. It's highly traumatizing. Like you can see why she would be really messed up after this.
Yeah. And we don't know what's happening with the chemicals after the electricity. Anything can happen. You saw how Freddy Krueger came back in part 4.
It wasn't good. It
was pee and electricity, if I remember straight. So, yeah.
Yeah. So she's fucked up for life essentially from that whole interaction. And I think kind of becomes really meek and like withheld because of it, And then, but truly underneath it all, there's an evilness there. And maybe an inherited evil because her mom is giving like evil genius vibe.
The mom is my favorite character, I think, in this movie. So her evil mother that is just like hates her, I guess, for some reason, and is the first person to get stabbed in the lobby, is so iconic. She actually gives me a little bit Sleepaway Camp, the aunt energy. And it's just so unhinged. And like, I don't understand what she's thinking. She's like a robot lady. I think her name was, Julie Brown. Does that sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
I think I've heard the name through Drag Race, so that's the only reference point I have.
Yeah, she was really giving it, and especially in her death scene. Like the first death scene is great, and you understand why these people are like, yes, that was a great short film. Please show me more.
We want it. We want more. Okay, speaking of gross death scenes,
can we
talk about the kills and the gore in this movie? Because it goes very hard and far. I actually was really grossed out a number of times.
I wasn't anticipating the boob guillotine,
which I think is maybe the I don't know, most memorable grossness in this movie.
It's really funny because basically in this movie you get to see like the behind the scenes of them making the film and like as well as like pieces of the film, right? So there's this scene, like they take this girl who's a big fan of the films, right? And they try to put her in a guillotine, but her head won't fit. So they're like, what do we do? And they put her boob in instead.
And it's scary. It's gross. And then she goes up against the wall and it's effective. Some of the nastiness in this movie is really effective. I think the gross gore moment that really got me the most was there's a character that gets her lips sewn together. and it's prolonged and it's like weird and it's gross. And then there's a moment where she screams and it opens.
That actress is Mink Stole from the John Waters universe. So
yeah. Also good.
Yeah. Oh no, she was great. The whole cast, I would say, of this movie, great. And Peaches is in it too. Also, we should know. Can't miss Peaches. The iconic face.
And the big hair. It's so funny. The gag with her big hair, like blocking the person's movie theater view. Oh, so another horror movie that takes place like in a movie theater. This is a trend for you and I lately.
It is.
Yeah.
We just went to see at the Review Cinema in our city, Toronto, this movie Anguish, which I think we are going to recommend maybe as a companion piece to this film.
Yeah, why not?
Right?
Yeah.
Crazy moms are in it. Like
Crazy moms, wild camp,
like surprises up the wazoo. Surprisingly gross, movie theater deaths, like there's a lot there. Anyways, Anguish, watch it. Zelda Rubinstein's in it. You're gonna love it. Camp classic. That's our queer cinema club recommendation.
I agree that it counts as a queer cinema moment. I love that this Anguish moment for us. Good. You guys got to watch Anguish. Zelda, she's good.
She's iconic. But yeah, there's something about movie theaters and like horror culture, I think, is that like maybe sometimes you can't always see these horror movies, or back in the day at least, like that's where you went to the Grindhouse cinema to see these crazy movies that weren't available anywhere else, you know?
Yeah, totally.
So there's a certain magic there, and I think of so many of my memories of horror films are like you and I going to the theaters to see them in like weird underground theaters
in like malls, in like 1997. I know it's some liminal space stuff, and I miss the 90s.
I was thinking too that like we would absolutely go to this theater, the Victoria Theater. Like we would get caught up in this whole drama of like wanting to see all these crazy like stuff like films, right?
Wait, would we be victims, or would we be the like weirdo hires to kill everybody? Like, would we be the people working at the cinema killing people, or are we dead? I think we're dead.
I think we're dead. Like
I think we're so dead.
To be dead, they'd be like, oh, those two.
Yeah. I would love to die in a Peaches Christ movie. That would be the best.
Maybe this is your pitch, Peaches, if you're watching.
Yeah.
Josh would like to be killed in your next film.
Just like a scene, just like 30 seconds, I'm dead.
Do you have
nothing fancy
as to how you would die?
You know what? My favorite death in this movie is a pretty simple one. There's a character that's sitting in a stall. I'm not saying I want to die in the toilet, but there's a character sitting in a stall, and they just open the door and they just stab her to death. And I was like, oh, there's nowhere she can go. It's kind of like the shower kill in a way.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I don't want to die in a toilet, but yeah.
Something intimate like that.
Intimate like that. Yes. Before we wrap up, I'm wondering, like, how do you feel about this movie?
I think that this was perfect start to Pride Month. Like we're recording this on the first day of Pride Month. So I just felt like it was like just perfect start. Really fun. If you love Natasha Lyonne, I feel like you've got to see this because she's really giving her all. And I actually love seeing her in a horror movie. Like she's great in everything that you watch her in, but she really fits in the genre space. I feel like she's got this like larger than life presence that I think really suits genre stuff.
Totally agree. If you like and get camp, then this movie's for you. Like definitely a classic.
Yeah, this is a campy movie. You have to know that this is not like a serious horror movie, but there is gore. Like I feel like it's classified as a gore horror movie. And I think that that's an apt description because it is gross, but I don't know that it's like scary so much, you know?
I totally agree. So yeah, don't be freaked out by camp because this is going to freak you out, but I love it. I'm going to watch it a million more times. Emily, where in the world can people find you if you want to be found?
I don't want to be found, but if you have to find me, I am at Emily Gagne. My last name is Gagne. And just like gag me, but change the M for N.
No one's gonna forget that. No one's
I
gonna
know.
forget that. I think that's how we're gonna end this off. So thank you for joining us on Dread Central Cinema Club. And I hope that you come back for another episode one day.